The Sixth Dynasty of Egypt, spanning from approximately 2345 to 2181 BCE, was a period marked by both remarkable achievements and significant challenges. This era saw the reigns of notable pharaohs like Pepi I and Pepi II, the evolution of funerary texts, and the eventual weakening of central authority. As the camera sweeps over the Grand Pyramids, bustling cities, and the majestic Nile River, the story delves into the lives of these two pivotal rulers. Pepi I, after ascending to the throne as a young boy, strengthened his reign through strategic alliances, including marriages to powerful women from influential families. Under his rule, the construction of monumental structures continued, signifying the might of the pharaoh and the prosperity of Egypt. His reign is often considered a time of economic stability and centralized power. The narrative then shifts to Pepi II, who inherited the throne as a child following the death of his father. Pepi II's rule, one of the longest in history, saw the country through a century of gradual decline. Initially, his reign was a continuation of his predecessor's prosperity, marked by the construction of grand monuments and the flourishing of arts and culture. However, over time, local governors, known as nomarchs, began to amass power, leading to increased regionalism and weakening the central authority. The decline became evident as famine, corruption, and internal strife started to plague the once thriving state. The lengthy reign of Pepi II saw the erosion of the power that once unified Egypt. The story also touches upon significant cultural developments, such as the evolution of the pyramid texts into the Coffin Texts, reflecting changes in religious beliefs and practices. This period witnessed the transition from strictly royal inscriptions to texts accessible to the nobility, indicative of broader social changes. As the Sixth Dynasty drew to a close, a power vacuum emerged, leading to the First Intermediate Period, a time of disunity and fragmentation. The Sixth Dynasty's legacy is a testament to the complex dynamics of power, prosperity, and decline. Pepi I ascended the throne during a time of relative stability. His reign marked the beginning of the Sixth Dynasty's golden age. He was determined to strengthen Egypt's central authority and expand its influence. Pepi I is seen addressing his court, outlining his vision for Egypt. We must unify our kingdom and extend our reach. Let our monuments stand as testaments to our power and legacy. Pepi I embarked on numerous building projects, enhancing the architectural landscape of Egypt. He also initiated diplomatic and military campaigns to secure Egypt's borders and establish trade relations. Under Pepi I, Egypt witnessed a surge in monumental construction. Temples dedicated to the gods and grand pyramids for the pharaoh's eternal rest were erected. These structures not only showcased Egypt's architectural prowess but also reinforced the divine status of the pharaoh. Workers are seen laboring diligently, moving massive stones and carving intricate hieroglyphics. The precision and scale of these projects were a testament to the advanced engineering and organizational skills of the ancient Egyptians. The room was dimly lit, with the flickering flame of the oil lamps casting dancing shadows on the walls. Scribes sat at low tables, meticulously transcribing sacred symbols onto long sheets of papyrus. Others carefully carved the same hieroglyphs into the cool stone walls of the royal tomb. Their work was not just a task, it was a sacred duty, essential for the eternal journey of the pharaoh. These inscriptions, collectively known as the Pyramid Texts, were one of the significant cultural advancements of the Sixth Dynasty. The chief scribe, an older man with a weathered face, gestured towards the inscription he was working on and turned to his young apprentice, who watched intently. These words, the scribe began, are more than mere symbols. They are spells and prayers, guiding our king through the challenges of the underworld and ensuring his immortality. Every stroke of the reed, every chip of the chisel, must be precise, for the slightest error could disrupt the harmony of the afterlife journey. The apprentice's eyes widened, understanding the gravity of their work. He had always known his role was important, but now he realized just how critical it was. The scribes were the silent custodians of the Pharaoh's immortality, their words acting as a bridge between the mortal world and the eternal realm. The narrator's voice filled the room, as if echoing through the annals of history. These texts laid the foundation for later funerary literature, like the Coffin Texts and the Book of the Dead. Each era built upon the last, ensuring that the journey to the afterlife was well guided and protected through sacred writings. The apprentice picked up his reed pen, his hand steadier than before. He dipped it into the ink and began to write, each stroke filled with purpose and reverence. Pepi II, the son of Pepi, holds the record for the longest reign in ancient Egyptian history, ruling for over 90 years. His reign began when he was just a child, a time filled with potential and promise. Young Pepi II, wide-eyed and earnest, donned the regalia of kingship. At his side stood his mother, the queen regent, and a council of wise advisors. They guided him patiently, each lesson a step towards the mastery of his vast responsibilities. "I shall honor my father's legacy and lead Egypt to greater heights," he declared with youthful determination. For decades, Egypt flourished under his rule. Monumental constructions dotted the landscape, and trade routes expanded Egypt's influence far beyond its borders. Yet, as the years wore on, the initial vigor of his reign began to wane. The once unified power of the pharaoh began to splinter, with regional governors growing in autonomy. As his reign reached old age, Pepi II's grasp on the kingdom loosened. The powerful central authority that had characterized much of Egypt's strength weakened, leading to internal strife and economic challenges. By the end of his nearly century-long rule, the kingdom that Pepi II had vowed to elevate faced significant fragmentation. His life and reign remain a testament to the delicate balance between central authority and regional power, and a poignant chapter in the annals of ancient Egyptian history. During the Sixth Dynasty, Egypt continued its expeditions to the land of Punt, a region rich in exotic goods. These expeditions brought back valuable commodities such as incense, ebony, gold, and exotic animals. The camera follows a fleet of ships setting sail from the Nile, laden with goods for trade. The mighty vessels, their sails billowing in the wind, navigate the waters, bearing the hopes and ambitions of an empire. Upon reaching the shores of Punt, the Egyptian traders disembark, their eyes filled with the promise of untold riches. An Egyptian trader, dressed in the finest linens, approaches the locals of Punt, who regard him with curiosity and guarded welcome. The trader speaks with a voice both firm and respectful. "We come in peace, seeking the treasures of your land. Let us trade for the prosperity of both our peoples." His words, carried by the winds of diplomacy, are met with nods of agreement. The locals present their own array of goods, equally rich and diverse. Scenes of negotiation unfold as the trader inspects bundles of incense, bars of ebony, and gleaming ornaments of gold. Agreements are made, sealed with handshakes and mutual smiles. These expeditions not only enriched Egypt's economy but also expanded its influence and cultural exchanges. Images of the fleet returning to the Nile, now laden with the bounty of Punt, underscore the success of the mission. As they draw closer to home, the horizon of Egypt comes into view, promising a wealth that goes beyond material riches, embodying a blend of cultural and economic prosperity. As the sun set over the grand palaces of Memphis, its golden rays bathed the royal court in an ethereal glow. Within the opulent halls, once a symbol of unyielding power, tension simmered beneath the surface. Pepi II, the aging pharaoh, sat upon his throne, his frail frame swathed in regal robes that belied the uncertain future of his reign. The grandeur of his court now masked the unraveling of a legacy. For many years, Pepi II's authority had reigned supreme, a beacon of stability for Upper and Lower Egypt. Yet now, whispers of dissent grew louder among the nomarchs, the regional governors whose influence swelled with each passing season. What had once been a harmonious chorus of loyalty now threatened to become a cacophony of discord. In the midst of courtly proceedings, a figure stepped forward from among the assembly, his presence commanding attention. He was a nomarch, a leader of one of Egypt's regions, and the simmering tension came to a boil as he raised his voice in defiance. "We no longer need to rely solely on the Pharaoh's decrees," the nomarch declared, his tone resolute. "Our regions must govern themselves to ensure stability and prosperity." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the court, a testament to the growing sentiment among the regional leaders. The central authority of Egypt was eroding, brick by brick, as the nomarchs sought to carve out their own dominions, prioritizing regional autonomy over national unity. Royal officials and advisors exchanged anxious glances, aware of the gravity of this rebellion. The structure that had sustained the Sixth Dynasty for decades was showing signs of deep fractures, its foundation crumbling under the weight of ambition and self-preservation. As Pepi II looked upon the faces of his court, his eyes betrayed the internal conflict that plagued his thoughts. As the twilight of the Sixth Dynasty settled over Egypt, the once mighty kingdom stumbled under the weight of economic strain and social unrest. Scenes of famine and hardship were etched into the collective memory of the people, families struggling to find sustenance, children's gaunt faces marred by hunger. Darkness crept into the granaries, leaving the fields barren, and the palatial granaries that once overflowed with bounty now stood desolate. The voice of the common folk grew louder, echoing through the corridors of the mighty palace. A group of weary peasants, their faces lined with despair, approached the pharaoh's abode, their eyes pleading for mercy and reprieve. "Great Pharaoh, we are starving. Our fields are barren, and our children cry for food. Help us, we beg you," they implored, their voices trembling with the weight of their suffering. The mighty Pharaoh, shrouded in opulence, stood powerless to alleviate their plight. The central authority, once the bedrock of the kingdom, had crumbled under mismanagement and weakened rule. The once revered monarchy now appeared impotent in the face of the people's misery. Each unfulfilled plea, each unyielding drought chipped away at the facade of invincibility that surrounded the throne. Trust in the pharaoh's divine mandate waned, giving way to disillusionment and resentment. Communities once loyal to the crown began to question the very foundation of its power. The erosion of trust became a torrent that swept away the remnants of royal authority. The grain silos, once testaments to the empire's grandeur, stood as monuments to its downfall. The dynasty that had basked in the glory of monumental constructions and territorial conquests now found itself on the brink of disintegration. As the sun set on the Sixth Dynasty, the echoes of the peasants' pleas still reverberated through the empty halls, marking the end of an era and the beginning of a turbulent chapter for the land of the Nile. In the twilight of the Sixth Dynasty, Egypt stood on the brink of collapse. The once mighty kingdom, known for its grandeur and relentless power, found itself weakened and fragmented. One of the pivotal scenes of this era unfolded on a battlefield near the northeastern border, where Egyptian soldiers faced relentless invasions from neighboring regions. General Ankhu, a seasoned warrior in his twilight years, rode before his troops, his voice echoing above the clamor of the restless soldiers. "Hold the line. We must protect our land and our people from these invaders. Fight with honor and courage." His words were a beacon, a rallying cry amidst the encroaching darkness. The invading forces pressed hard, their numbers overwhelming. Spears clashed and arrows darkened the sky as both sides fought fiercely. Despite the bravery and tenacity of General Ankhu and his men, the decline in central power had rendered Egypt vulnerable. Resources were scarce, and the once unyielding defenses now showed cracks. The invaders, sensing weakness, intensified their assaults. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the blood-stained sands, General Ankhu knew the futility of their situation. But surrender was not an option he could fathom. Instead, he chose to make a final stand, a testament to the enduring spirit of Egypt. "We may fall today, but our legacy will endure," he shouted, his voice filled with resolute determination. "Fight for our ancestors, for our children, for Egypt." His troops, inspired by his unwavering resolve, dug deep, summoning strength they didn't know they possessed. They pushed back the invaders time and again, but the tide was inevitable. One by one, the defenders fell, their sacrifices immortalized by their refusal to yield. The battle raged on through the night, a harrowing testament to the courage of those who refused to let their homeland fall without a fight. Dawn broke over a battlefield shrouded in silence, the sounds of clashing weapons replaced by an eerie stillness. The invaders had finally overrun the Egyptian defenses, but at a cost so great they withdrew, leaving behind a land scarred by conflict yet unyielding in spirit. The Sixth Dynasty may have faltered, but the courage of its warriors, like General Ankhu, ensured that Egypt's indomitable essence would echo through the annals of history forever. Amidst the political and economic turmoil of the Sixth Dynasty, Egypt witnessed profound shifts in religious and cultural practices. As the centralized power weakened, regional governors grew more influential, fostering localized religious rituals and the emergence of new cults. In the shadow of ancient temples, a priest stepped forward, his voice resonating with the gravity of the times. Addressing a gathering of anxious citizens, he proclaimed, "The gods have spoken through new signs and omens. We must adapt our ways to honor them and seek their favor." The crowd murmured in agreement, their faces reflecting a mixture of fear and hope. New deities were introduced, each symbolizing the unique needs and aspirations of different regions. Rituals once confined to a singular pantheon diversified, incorporating local traditions and beliefs. Ceremonies became grander, with lavish offerings meant to appease newly venerated gods. The priest continued, guiding the people through intricate rites, his movements precise and deliberate, a testament to the blending of old and new practices. These changes were not merely religious, they mirrored the broader societal shifts. The once unified Egyptian culture began to fragment, each region developing its own distinct identity. Art and literature, too, evolved, capturing the zeitgeist of uncertainty and adaptation. Stone carvings depicted scenes of old gods coexisting with new ones, while scrolls narrated tales of divine omens and new cosmic orders. In every facet of life, the echoes of this transformation were felt. Markets thrived with artifacts from distant lands, symbols of cultural exchange and adaptation. The end of the Sixth Dynasty marked not just a political shift, but a profound reimagining of what it meant to be Egyptian. By the end of Pepi II's long reign, Egypt was no longer the unified, powerful kingdom it once was. The once great Sixth Dynasty had succumbed to internal strife, economic hardship, and external threats. For over 90 years, Pepi II ruled, his reign the longest of any pharaoh. But time had withered both the man and the realm he commanded. Rebel factions rose from within, dissatisfied with the central authority. Local governors wielded power once reserved for the pharaoh, creating a fractured state. The once flourishing Nile that sustained life and prosperity started to falter, affected by erratic flooding. Crops failed, leading to famine and suffering among the populace. Trade routes, once bustling with activity, became perilous. As Egypt grew weaker, its enemies sensed an opportunity. Nomadic tribes from the west launched raids, desecrating sacred temples. Along the eastern frontiers, the Asiatic tribes infiltrated, further destabilizing the region. Nevertheless, amid the chaos and decline, there remained a semblance of the old glory. Monuments constructed during the dynasty, intricately decorated tombs, and the pyramid texts unlocked profound mysteries of the Egyptian afterlife. These testaments to human ingenuity and devotion ensured that while the Sixth Dynasty ended in disarray, its mark on history would endure. Pepi II, gazing from his royal palace one final time, perhaps knew his legacy would be more than just the turmoil of his twilight years. By the end of Pepi II's long reign, Egypt was no longer the unified, powerful kingdom it once was. The once great Sixth Dynasty had succumbed to internal strife, economic hardship, and external threats. The camera pans over the crumbling statues and abandoned temples, symbolizing the end of an era. Yet, the legacy of the Sixth Dynasty endures in the architectural marvels, funerary texts, and the stories of its pharaohs. It was a time of both glory and decline, shaping the future of ancient Egypt.
As our video concludes, if you have a passion for pharaoh stories and the magnificent history of Egypt, be sure to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you never miss our latest updates. If you found the video enjoyable, please hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. We would love to hear your favorite stories about the pharaohs or any questions you have about ancient Egyptian civilization. Your interaction means the world to us, and we're excited to share more thrilling stories with you. Thank you for your support.